Good morning, everyone. This is Miss Polly. I know I haven't seen you guys in a little while. I've been doing a lot of lives. Oh goodness! I have been doing some lives at the end of 2022, and it is 2023 now, everyone. Of course, I was busy, but it's January 2nd, and I wanted to start the new year in a positive manner. I do have some great ideas about keeping my channel up to date because I really wasn't focused on that much. So I was not that I wasn't focused on my brand. I was more focused on just putting myself out there, and I was really giving like a lot of energy to everyone else's lives, in which I still will be giving energy to lives. So I want to make we're gonna have like a little thing that goes on, maybe not this particular time, but I want to say thank you to all the people who, kind of started me into using different things and getting a little bit more serious about my content and helped me through that process. We have Eat Black, Chef Shapino. Those are just the name to the gentleman, and then also um, I have my knowledge in relationships, also a network that has helped me just put myself out there. Also, Jill on the Block is a big one. You're going to see me doing some really big things with her this upcoming year. And so projects will be coming out for that. So that'll be awesome. I just hope that I am able to continue to participate in a lot of the activities. There's a whole bunch of other gentlemen and ladies. Like I said, I have been on Instagram a lot. If you guys haven't, go ahead and subscribe to or friend me on Instagram. So I have also been having a great time with Over 40 podcast, which my girl um, Queen Holly is amazing. Okay, so she's lots of good content for usually it's like she's over 40. A lot of people if they're over 40 talk about dating over 40. She's a very, very funny lady, awesome personality, and is on there pretty consistently. There's a couple other ones, but I just want to name a few because I want to make a reel and um, share with you guys their links and things like that. So I think I'm going to compose a lot more um, of advertising when I do live, so that you guys can also be part of. You don't have to necessarily like be everywhere, but when I go live on someone else's content, I want you guys to be able to see that those things too. So since it is the new year, thank you for listening to me get out some of that. But this time, guys, let's think. Okay, I usually have our topic as Miss Polly, um, and my my friend Jacob, he has mentioned to me he would like to make a request, and his request was to converse today um, about how does alcohol affect relationships. And I know that seems like a very broad topic, and it can be, but we were just gonna quickly answer this. So obviously, if you want more, you guys, we can add another part two or whatnot. But when he asked me how does alcohol affect people, and I think, and I will gonna add something. I'll add any medicinal, and I mean not like I said it. Um, any medicinal things you're doing that will include weed, that will include any other recreational drugs, all those things. I think what happens a lot of the time is people believe that these things are helping them, and which they can sometimes mask things. And I will put this out there before we start because I want to make sure you put that because a lot of people don't know this. Myself, have I've never like when got weed got high. I've never even been drunk. I don't drink my whole life. It's not something I just started or no. But this is based on my my observation of people who have over the years, and things I've known with people who struggle with these addictions and even non-addictions. And my observation on this is a lot of times people are in bad places, um, and they're searching for something to help them take a moment away, or relax. In which these things actually do that for you. Let's just be honest, and like I said, I've never been hiring, but like, just taking medication, when you're sick or hurt and you take medication, your muscles are relaxed. Your mind is not really focused on those things because you're in a different place, the euphoria of it all. So there are some things. Now, the thing is, when you're deciding to do any of these things, um, it's even alcohol, or if you don't know, alcohol is a depressant. So when people who are depressed are drinking alcohol, they're literally making it worse. There are some medicines that are uppers and some are downers. So not just medicine, like anything, you just up and downers. And I think when we see our peers and other people doing the same thing when they're upset, we're like, well, when I'm upset, I'll go get this beer. When I'm upset, when I come home, it starts turning into a routine, and those routines turn into your body, obviously, physically thinking that this is part of the routine, is part of what you need. And that happens with all kinds of things. So, I mean, the people, ooh, Lord, the people who like drink beer after work, you know, I'm trying to say it's a routine. You're putting your body into a place like that. See the guys with beer bellies and all that. And how does all this affect your relationship? Let's put that together. Okay, so that's just general. A lot of people are trying to mask feelings. They want to get away. They want to escape from something. Some people don't want to escape from it. Some people want to feel the euphoria, that upper level. Some people like the feeling of just being high. I've seen that before. But there's consequences to that. Now, for me, I've always thought, because I'll tell you something that kills me, that's always scared me, and the reason why I think is because the fact that I might be have issue with control, maybe, but the fact that I have no control over my actions, even if it's for a short period of time, or my actions, they're impaired. That is scary. I don't know if that doesn't sound scary to somebody, but if someone came to you and said, "Hey, let me take over your body and mind," and you may not make the right decision, and you're not going to think clearly for like 2 hours. We cool? Let's shake on it. It's like I would be like, no, I would. I'm good. I'm good. Like I just don't. It's like, why? So when I hear people throughout my life say things like, "Oh, I take these, this, not," and I didn't know I was doing this, this happened and I wasn't aware, or I was talking and I was talking crazy and someone heard me say something, and I'm just like, whoa, shoot, mm-mm. I want to be in the right mind. I want to be able, to have control over what's taking place in my life, and I know we can't. So at that point, why would I want to have less control than I already have now? But that's just me. It's just me. But okay, not talking bad about people who have occasional drinks. Is that I'm just saying, for me, I just don't like that thought. That thought just doesn't sit right with me. But I have lots of family and friends who are like I said, who participate in all kinds of things. So the relationship part. Let's talk about the relationship part. Okay, so um I think how it will affect, or how it does affect people, is a lot of times if you're a person go through things and you're not really sharing with your partner about your daily woes and things like that, and you're using these other things as a way to cope, um, instead of communicating with others and using people and your communication skills to deal with them. What happens is your partner also could feel on the other side that you're abandoning them. A lot of people have drinking problems, a lot of people who do drugs, and their partners really feel like there's a detachment, and that these drugs or these other things are, even alcohol is more important than them. That you have a relationship with these other things that aren't even people. And it is true, you have a relationship and you're depending on this thing to help you through whatever stuff you're going through. And a lot of times you don't, You're not getting any fixing from this. This is a mask, to cover up what's wrong with you. You're not dealing with the issues. And so then that's why they turn into a cycle. And then that cycle can obviously, after a while, then turn into a situation where you may be addicted. So, and people are like, oh, well, you can't say you get addicted. And I'm going to tell you, even if it was weed, you get addicted to that. People say you can't. It's because you're making it part of your routine. You've made the cycle. Okay, so if you're making a cycle, something that's going to happen over and over again, you're making that part of your day, and you're depending on that to help you. And then when you don't do it, a lot of people don't know what to do. That's down to people who smoke cigarettes, e-cigarettes, all those things like that. So you're getting into a routine where you're just doing something over and over and over again, and you're not using people, your communication skills with the partners you're with. Your partner wants to be there for you, especially as one who actually cares about you. They want to be there with you. They want to support you. They want to be the person you go to when you're having problems. But if you're going to use these other things to do that, then you're no longer using your partner. And then they can feel abandoned in those moments, or even feel like they're not good enough to help you get past certain things. They're like, oh, well, instead of coming to me and have a conversation, they call somewhere else. And then, like I said, usually when you're doing these things, you're not doing them with your partner. Okay. And some people do. So remember that. Some people do and some people don't, but usually you're not. And if you do it with your partner, then you guys are both in usually these bad cycles, and now you're using each other. And you'll hear, like, you see people say, oh, I'm about to go out to drink, and like, oh, why aren't you doing this with me? Or people, listen, I work in a restaurant. Coke is a big thing. I guess I don't do. You sitting up here, you doing coke because y'all been doing doubles 5 days, and then next thing you know, when you want to stop, when you slow down, say, "Hey, I really would like this life" or whatever, and the other one's like, "Well, why aren't you doing it with me?" And then it turned and really can turn into a battle, and it's because you guys both now are using this, and then you're like, well, why don't you want to do this with me? And then when they want to stop, then you will feel like, or someone else will feel like, are they trying to say that they're better than me because they can stop, or because they want to stop and I don't want to stop? Like there's just it can be an emotional shit show. Okay, let's be honest. So I think the fact that people, you know, are recreational drugs or all these other things. And some people say, I want to do things on the weekend. And, I've had friends who say, like, I only drink on the weekends. And that turns to binge drinking. Binge drinking is when you don't drink all week, but in a short amount of time, you consume a lot of alcohol. And I know people who've been in cycles like that. It's almost worse to be a binge drinker or a binge drug user than anything else, because now in this short amount of time you're you're being excessive, and those are the ones that usually end up having overdoses, end up alcohol poisoning, because they binge drink. um, I've had bosses that, when I worked in the industry, that I've lost, and I'm not. It's not drugs. It could be alcohol, and they're very young and they're just dying. Um, it's a big issue. It makes me sad to see that the cope with just the life that you fell into a cycle, and maybe even not even on purpose. Just you had a good time, you were relaxed, you weren't really thinking about the drama and the stuff you had going on. And I think that's where a lot of times Americans get confused when it comes to relaxation and um you know detaching from your stress. We really need to start thinking about it in a different way. And look at these other places that do this. When people say they're relaxing, in other places, they're going out, they're turning off the TVs, the phones, they're removing themselves from those issues. They're doing yoga, they're doing meditation sometimes. I used to think meditation was the stupidest thing I've heard in my life. I was like, who wants to sit in the dark and think about nothing? I'm like, I don't think about nothing. I think about shit all the time. And then I went to a college. I took a class, and obviously it was an Asian class. philosophy class. In a religion class. I took a couple separate ones, but the combination of both. And they were talking about meditation and depth. And I was like, okay, well, let me try this again. I went to a yoga place and we were sitting in the dark, and I was like, this is the worst experience of my life. And they said, when they say nothing, they don't, now when you get deeper, you're supposed to be able to think of nothing, right? But they said, you're really supposed to be focusing in those moments. And this sounds crazy. Hopefully somebody will take this and they'll get something from it. Sit somewhere dark because you cannot see. That's why they close your eyes or be in a darker room. And you could no music with words. Some people like music with a lot of sounds. Not if you maybe nature sounds, something like that. And maybe not even that. Maybe just silence. Okay. And like do steps to it if you need to. You sit there and you think about breathing. That sounds stupid, right? Good. Think about actually breathing. Be like, breathing in, breathing out. And take your time and think about the breath. Just focus. Now I have ADHD now. I'm telling you, that's probably why I have problems with it. But think about the breathing. Think about breathing in and how it goes in. And while you're doing it, think that. That is you thinking nothing. You're not thinking about work. You're not thinking about children. You're not thinking about driving a car. You're not thinking about your problems. You're literally, and I say nothing, but if nothing's too much, we ain't advanced yet. Think about your body actually in the moment you're in. And I think that's why I kind of like Buddhism a little bit, a lot, because some of the ideas of being in the moment. I think a lot of us aren't in the moment. We're not in the moment. Breathing in, thinking about that, thinking about while you're sitting there, relax your leg muscles. You're like, oh, I'm gonna relax. You're probably not because you just said that. And say, okay, or even do it different. Relax them and then tighten them. Okay. And while you're doing that, you're not thinking about nothing else. I promise you. You're not. I did that and I was like, maybe they got something after all. And I wasn't thinking about work. I wasn't thinking. I was thinking about breathing. I was thinking about relaxing my body. And my body was actually doing those things. I was intentionally relaxing. Now that sounds weird, right? You're intentionally relaxing, but it's not thinking. I don't know, but it was very different that time I did it after I learned more about the culture in East Asia and Buddhism. I took the religion class, and things like that. And it just kind of changed my outlook on meditation and how we use here more in America these alternative ways, these quick ways. Because we a lot of times, I think, if you don't know, not if anyone, Americans are a little lazy, and this is just true. This has got nothing to do with me being American. I didn't say that. I didn't want to be here. I have other options, right? That's not what it is. Is the fact that our culture is most cultures, but our culture has really, really, really been built on everything being very quick, instant, hurry, fast. And there's not a lot of pause time in our culture. And that's just seen all over. There's no pause time when it comes to work. We're supposed to keep going and never, never stop. And when you have a culture that's fixated on that kind of cycle, right? I mean, you may think that sounds crazy, but it's not. When you go to work, you are replaceable, right? You're told that you're replaceable. You're told that if you didn't come to work, you're going to get fired. No matter what's going on, the world moves with you and without you very easily. And so if you want to be somebody who they value, unless you're going outside the box, you're very replaceable, and there's always going to be something else better than you. And I know that that's probably a true fact. There's obviously always going to be someone better than you, but the fact that that's drilled into your mind so much, you just don't stop because you're like, if I sit for 5 minutes, I'm going to lose the race. Someone else is going to take my place. And the anxiety that comes with that. I think that's what half these people out here, their anxiety is so high because it's like every minute they're just falling apart. And there's no moments of peace. In other countries, they have things like, oh, 2 weeks off. You're like, 2 weeks off what? Like, oh, this is holiday. You hear these things that if you go somewhere else, it is crazy. You're like, what? You had nobody, your company is not open? No. For 2 weeks? Like, what the hell? And they pay them. I'm just saying, these are things because they, that's why I said I like East Asian um culture a lot too. It's just the idea that they, like mine was in Japan. There's other places too that do this though. But like if you're at work, you're allowed to take meditation breaks. Did you know that? They work their asses off, their companies. Okay. But I'm telling you, you can take a meditation nap. Has anyone told you at a call center you could take a fucking meditation break? As long as you hit numbers, they want you to hit the numbers, of course. But you could take a meditation nap because you are tired and you can't focus, or you need to recenter. That you can get up from your desk without a manager coming to you and be like, oh, you've been off the phone for 3 minutes. There's somebody actually there who's saying, hey, you need a mental moment. Okay, I need you to take that mental moment. Take that mental moment. And this is high stress places. These are high stress places. Okay. What I mean by that is they have lots of going on, and that companies actually identify that they are high stressed areas. That's amazing, and give you an opportunity to take a moment, a breather in the moment. They're not saying, hey, go home, don't do your job. They're saying, okay, if you need to take a moment, pull your shit together, please do. You can't do that here. You can't say, I need a moment. And now what they do is, if you do need a moment, you just have to be over dramatic. Over dramatic. And it's just over the top. Oh, I'm having anxiety talk at work. I mean, I've seen people do it. And I mean, I'm not saying they're not valid. I'm not saying they don't have anxiety attacks. But every job I've gone to that is very high intense, or there's a lot of communication going on, all that kind of stuff, there's always 3 or 4 people. That's why I say it's not just one person. There's always 3 or 4 people who have anxiety attacks, like on a regular basis. And they will literally, even if they go in the bathroom, they're having a whole breakdown. Somebody's crying. I'm just, it's bad. So there are companies that acknowledge this. They have you have moments of peace, rest, and they want you to actually rest. Now, I'm not saying that they don't exist, that there's people who push, but we don't have moments of peace. We don't have moments of quiet. We don't have a lot of moments of anything that's really serene. And that's just what it is. Even when we say we're resting, you're like watching something and you're not really focused on rest. Your body's really never at rest. I think when I got older, now I'm starting to say, you know what, I have to take those moments and pause. And I didn't do that before. And I know it's like, okay, well, maybe because you need it because you're getting older. I think because I always needed it, I just never took it. And I'm a go kind of person, but I can't always stay at that heightened state for those periods of time without taking a break, or I crash and burn and then it's all for nothing. So these things that we use here to cope with drinking, it's really not a good thing in relationships when it comes to depending on a substance to be your partner. That's basically that's half about. Because if you want a relationship with alcohol or your drugs, then you're not really having a relationship with your partner, because you're using that as your way to cope with things instead of coping with your partner. And when you do recreational, when you do alcohol, I'm just saying do them, right? Those are things that are supposed to be maybe for a moment. There isn't wrong with a glass of wine here, there, whatever. I'm saying you're using that every day instead of having a conversation with someone, or even if you have a conversation when you have a glass of wine. Moderation. Everything in excess is bad. I don't care if it's down to vitamin C. So really focus on your mental health. I think we need to focus on mental health in general, building really good foundations in our mind. I hope we do it when we're younger, Jacob. younger. So Jacob's younger than me, probably. I think it is. And focusing on your mental health. And I think that if you are someone who is, or you know someone who is, because I don't think it's necessarily for you, if you know someone who is using these to cope with daily life or think they're just having fun, because it could just appear that way as a young person, that you're just having fun. And that's true, you are having fun. But in the same breath of having fun, if you're excessive, and I listen, like I said, if you want to drink every weekend, but you're cool through the week, you're binging because I know you're not just drinking 2 beers. Let's just be honest. You're binging. And so you're binging because you're trying to make up. You're making up for the whole week in one day. And those are where you have people who start having heart problems and they go older. I'm trying to tell you, I lost my boss at 30. I think he was 32. And he was a manager at a restaurant. And then, like I said, these companies sometimes they say they care, but at the end of the day, they're built on everything being very business like. They don't really take in that personal side. Is just what it is. You hear people say it all the time. They tell you to get well, you better get well so we can find out how long it's going to take you to get back to this office and do this work. Because if you're not going to be back within a certain amount of time, we will replace you. And the world is like that. We're just in a world where everything has to just works like that. So if you are a person and you're doing that and you're using that to cope, these companies are going to push you by. So in this world where you just want to make up for that, you want to just be mindful that it's not worth it for your body. And my 30-year-old boss who passed 2 years ago, it was sad because he became a real good friend. I know you're not even, and he moved here from another state. He ran a restaurant. There was no family here, and you're not supposed to make friends with your employees or anything, but these are the people he works with for 14, 15 hours a day, and he lives in a place where no one. I think they need to take that in consideration. You give them housing or whatever. You put them someone in a place where they work with these people for 15 hours a day almost, and they're there every day, maybe a day off or 2 days off. They don't have any friends, all that. And then what they do, they go out to a bar or something like that. And sometimes they still mingle. Let's just be honest, they still probably mingle. And and you mingle with your friends and you're drinking and having a good time. And I saw it. I saw it where I knew he was struggling with it, but I thought maybe he just needed to make more friends, and then, you know, he was making the money that I think he was making the steps to get to a place he wanted to be. And it just, but the alcohol, the binging, it was just too bad. And he was binging, he would binging. And it just sucks to see that one day he went out and he had a binge. I don't know exactly what happened, Olin, but I won't get into detail. But he went out drinking and he came home, and then the next day we didn't hear from him. So sorry. But it it's something that you don't think about. Like that fun moment, you don't think about, okay, and that's why I said, like, he was home, he went home by himself to a house by himself because he didn't really know anybody. And and that's when you start seeing the relationships, the relationships you have with people. It's like you go home because you wanted to make friends, or you try to find a girlfriend or a boyfriend when you're in those situations, so you're not by yourself. And then you go home and there's no one there. And you go home, no one's there. And it's like you get sick or you can't turn over. You know what I'm saying? And You getting sick and you can't turn over and you pass. Or you go into a coma and there's no one there. And even if you have friends calling you, they know that you do this. They know you drink and you binge and you might pass out. And so they just like, okay, well, they'll be okay tomorrow. And you're not there. And that sucks. And that's all from just having a good time. That's why I said those kind of work conditions. And I'm not saying anybody fall in it, but there's a lot of people that managers of stores, they get sent to places where they don't have anybody. And I think that those rules were, fraternization, which I get it. I get it. But at the same end, you put people by themselves in a place where they may not have anyone. And some people can function, but some people can't. And some people make it through and they drink and they do things and recreational things and they make it through. But there's some people who can't and they don't make it. And it's stupid to me that when you're in a relationship, you have someone there, and then when you go in, like I say, they send you to a place, and you'll start going out to bars, you're drinking, having a good time, and you're trying to find a girlfriend, boyfriend, and that may not work. That may not work, and then you usually try to find a relationship because you want that interaction with someone, and then that doesn't work out, and then you're all by yourself, and it's just to me. That's a lot of stuff to go through mentally, not including on the stresses of running a restaurant and making sure it's successful. And it just sucks to see people like that, young people like that. And I'm saying, because like I said, I think, he was younger than me, but being 20 or 26, something like that, because kids are getting out of school. I say kids is funny. People are getting out of school and having degrees at 24, like BAs, before, maybe even before that, 22. And they're starting these careers and they know, they're starting careers running whole restaurants, which is amazing to do that so young. Becoming doctors, all that, and a lot of them manage stress, manage the loneliness with these other things, and it just, to me, seems like we need, as companies, people need to set up things, not just offer them, because offering doesn't work. People don't take mental health um, very serious. They will talk about them having mental health issues, but getting treatment is not something everyone does. And so a lot of people don't do. And so just saying, oh, we offer some counseling. A lot of times these companies too they're holding on to those marks. Oh, well, you said you needed therapy because you can't handle it. That's probably why the store's not doing well. I mean, literally. So they would never go ask for help. So I'm saying just be aware of those things. Even if you have them in place, it's not always a positive thing to have that. But I mean, if you provide um, therapy in your um, therapy sessions, even yearly ones, hey, let me offer you 5 therapy sessions as part of your healthcare package. They don't really hold it as something. Getting someone a good mental place is a totally different. And so these drugs and drinking, all that, they're really masking a lot of things for the moment, and they're short-term resolutions. If you're going to invest, because you guys think, oh, that's stupid because I don't want to pay for therapy. Therapy is some are expensive, some are not. Even a life coach, shoot, and I understand that. Some people are like, I don't want to pay $130, and I see the person twice a month. Every visit's $130. I'm gonna tell you something. But when you go out and drink, I've seen this. I've seen men pay, and even they're paying for other people. I've seen you drop 150 in a night, especially people working in the restaurant business. I've seen you drop 150, $200 in a night to drink alcohol. And that's just one night. I've seen people say, "Oh, I spent $300." $300? What the fuck are you doing? What are you buying? But you can't take that same money and pay for your health, and then maybe you won't have to go out there and hang out with people who don't really care about you, just want a fun moment with you every weekend because you're the guy who's buying shots. Those are the things that I think that when we talk about relationships correlating with alcohol or drugs. Those are relationships that are bad, and they make bad dependent relationships, and also can cause people to die. All kinds of things. These are drugs. They're addictive. You know, the makeup of the actual ingredients are addictive, and that's like, so there's in lots of things. It doesn't have to be drugs, drinking. Like, I'm trying to call it out bad. It's not. Your body starts depending on things, and that's down to damn blood pressure medication. If you're consistently taking that, it is known that your body will stop making or stop providing its own pressure regulations or regulator. It'll stop. And you will always need to be on blood pressure medication because your body all of a sudden thinks that, oh, well, they're going to provide it. We don't need to do shit. These are things that happen. You have to know that. If you don't know that, now you do. Inform yourself about yourself as a person, mentally and physically on another level, so that you can provide yourself with the best life you can. Not everyone else, but what you can. And once you do that, then I think you feel a lot better about yourself and where you are. Because if you've done all that you can do, that means a whole bunch. Because you can't control everything, but you can control you, right? But if you're drinking and you're doing drugs and you know this, you're not controlling you. Something else is. That's basically what I have to say at the end of that. And yes. So I hope that was very helpful. And this is my new video. See, I made it for Jacob because he inspired me to do such, and I appreciate that he did. And also awesome thing to do. So I will share this now. I want you guys to be great this new year, new January. I'm glad I didn't hear anybody say new year, new me or anything. But I do want everybody to be in a good place this year and try to be the best person you can be every day. And if the new year provides you with a starting place, then let that be it. If your new place doesn't start until March, it is what it is. But just know you'll get there, make a plan, and push forward and be positive in the things you do. So, you guys have a great day, and I'm going to wrap it up now. Okay, I'll talk to you again. Bye.